Through the credit sequence of Oliver Stone's JFK, we get, in segments, the story of a woman who's thrown out of a car, abandoned, ends up in a hospital, and warns the people in attendance that President Kennedy is about to be killed in Dallas. She says that these are serious men and somebody has to do something. What not very many viewers realize is that this story was absolutely true and was investigated by Jim Garrison, the House Select Committee on Assassinations, and now the Review Board has released more documents on this remarkable story of this woman who 3 days in advance predicted that President Kennedy would be killed in Dallas. On November the 20th, 1963, Louise Guillory, a hospital director at Moussa General Hospital, called State Trooper Francis Fruget, who worked in narcotics detail. She told him that they had a patient at the hospital who was under the influence. Fruget went over and found a woman named Rose Cheramie in the waiting room outside the emergency ward. Moussa was a private hospital, so Fruget had to arrange to have her transferred and also to receive a sedative. On the way to the state hospital at Jackson, Louisiana, Rose Cheramie began to relate her remarkable story. She was en route from Florida to Dallas as part of a drug deal with 2 other men who were Cubans. Rose Cheramie was to function as a courier of funds for heroin, which was to be dropped off to her by a seaman coming into the port of Galveston. From there, the 3 were to proceed to Mexico. At a seedy bar en route called the Silver Slipper Lounge, an argument ensued, and Rose was roughly abandoned by her friends who threw her out. Then while hitching a ride, she was hit by a car driven by a man named Frank Odom. Odom had delivered her to Moussa Hospital, where she was picked up by Fruget. While on the way to Jackson, Rose told Fruget that in Dallas, the men had planned to kill Kennedy. According to several witnesses at the hospital, on November the 22nd, Rose again predicted the assassination before it happened. She also told the doctor there that she knew that both Ruby and Oswald had known each other and she had seen them together at Ruby's club. Fruget later also confirmed that she had worked for Jack Ruby. Another employee at the hospital, an intern named Wayne Owen, told his local newspaper in Wisconsin that he and other interns were told of the plot in advance of the assassination. He said that they even heard that one of the men involved was Jack Rubenstein, which was Jack Ruby's real name. Rose also told of that association with Ruby to Dr. Victor Weiss at Jackson Hospital. After the assassination, Fruget told the House Select Committee that he demanded to see Rose Cheramie again to interview her. She told him that her 2 companions actually seemed to be part of the conspiracy rather than just aware of it. Fruget then had her story about the drug deal checked out by both local and federal authorities. Fruget then had his superior, Colonel Morgan, call up Captain Will Fritz of the Dallas Police to offer Rose as a witness to his investigation. Morgan told Fruget after the call that Fritz was not interested. So, a potentially explosive witness was now turned away in 1963. In 1967, Jim Garrison received several leads about Rose Cheramie from people related to the Jackson Hospital, which is about 3 hours north of New Orleans. This included a friend of Dr. Victor Weiss, a man named A.H. Magruder. Garrison tracked down Fruget, deputized him, and then asked him to find Cheramie. Fruget found out that she had died in a car accident in 1965. Fruget told the House Select Committee in the next decade that he then found the Silver Slipper Lounge, where Rose had become separated from her 2 friends in 1963. He found the bartender in attendance the night Rose had walked in. The man's name was Mac Manuel. Fruget displayed the manual several photos of suspects from the Garrison investigation. Manuel picked out the 2 men he had seen with Rose Cheramie that night. This is significant because, as we now know, both Cubans were at Guy Bannister's office in New Orleans, and they both knew David Ferry and Clay Shaw. So now, according to this verified Cheramie story, we have a connection between New Orleans and Texas, just days prior to the murder of President Kennedy.